Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Career Journeys, where we talk about stories that inspire. I have on this show different guests who come in to talk about their career journeys. And by listening to them, by me asking questions, and from the answers they give to these questions, I do hope that everyone watching will be inspired in one way or the other. Today, I have an awesome guest with me. Her name is Folasade Agbejule. I'll read a little bit from her LinkedIn bio and then she will introduce herself to us. Are we ready? All right, Folasade Agbejule. She's in product management, she's in digital innovations and payments, she's in programs and policies, she's in financial sector development, and she's involved in inclusive finance. Oh my God, that is such a mouthful. She also happens to be a graduate of INSEAD. I know that today is going to be such an awesome conversation. Welcome, Folashade. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Pastor May. I'm happy to be with you on the show today. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you. You have a story that really inspires me. Would you start by introducing yourself to our audience?
Okay, let me say I'm Folasade Agbejule, and in terms of career, I have a background in pharmacy. I studied pharmacy from Obafemi University some years ago, and I worked a bit in the pharmaceutical industry, and also with GlaxoSmithKline at some point. And I've evolved over the years into leveraging technology to deliver services to across different industries. So that's the summary of what I've done so far.
That's a very brief summary. So
Yeah.
let's start from present day. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do currently?
Okay. So currently, I work as an executive director at Yellow Cowries, which is a social enterprise. We use gamification to teach financial literacy. And in addition, I also consult for CGAP. CGAP is a think tank, is the financial inclusion think tank of the World Bank. So I juggle these roles based on interest, because like I said, I've evolved over the years into the development space, and I've worked in I've evolved into the development space over the years, from financial services, access to finance for basic, for people at the mass market at the bottom of the pyramid. So how do we develop products that work for these people? And because of that, I've evolved into policies, working with the regulators to say what are the barriers to the uptake of basic financial services and how do we tackle all these things. So that's how I got involved with the World Bank, getting a contract on that basis and channeling in that aspect. Then for Yellow Cowries, I work a lot with product development, rolling out the products to Nigeria, and we hope to move outside Nigeria as well. So it's quite interesting. What I do now is really interesting and exciting.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, I'm talking about evolving. How difficult is it to evolve, or how easy is it to evolve? And what do you think has helped you in your journey, your evolution journey over the last, we won't say how many years, we don't want people to know how old we are. We are very young people, but
So I think the main thing is, what do you want to do? It's about the will, it's about the passion. And I think we should be open to opportunities. We should be sensitive to changes. We see different things that inspire us. I don't think we should shut ourselves to say, I studied this, that is not for me. And I remember at the beginning of my journey when I was working with GlaxoSmithKline, that was when I picked up technology, sitting in with people. How do we make this better? How do we make this flow easier for ourselves and for our customers? And for us to automate things, we needed to leverage technology. And how do we do that? So I remember that time I had to go back to NIIT in those days to learn some things about database management, and that was how the interest kept. And when you start learning things, you finish this, you want to learn more about this, and before you know it, so it's about being inquisitive and not shutting anything out. So when I was ready to start working full time in those days and approaching the banks to say I'd like to work within the digital banking space, I'd like to work within the e-banking space, I found it easy to relate. And I remember many people telling me then that, oh, you're a pharmacist, you should actually be practicing pharmacy. And but like you spent so many years studying pharmacy, why would you want to leave? And I was quick to remind them that the same way people study psychology and
mm,
work it, I mean, so because I have a professional course doesn't mean I should limit myself. I'll still keep myself very involved and engaged in this space. So I make sure that I renew my licenses, I do my professional certifications to remain relevant, and because the interest is there. However, we need to be curious to know, because that's how you develop more interest. And you never can tell where this interest can lead you. For me, it's been a very beautiful journey that has exposed me to a lot of other things that I wouldn't have thought would have been possible if I only stayed in one space.
Wow. So do you think you've always been that way, as in being an inquisitive person? Or do you think that that's something that you developed over the years? Or are there people who have influenced you and opened your eyes to the power of just curiosity and to asking questions? Someone may say, oh, okay, I'm a very timid person, I'm a very shy person. I don't, I tend not to ask questions, right? How do I become this inquisitive person? Was your story like that? Or looking back, at your life, at your journey, do you think that you've always been that way?
I think from my background growing up, I never liked hearing that some things were difficult or impossible. So I remember growing up, people used to be like, pharmacy, Nife, nobody ever graduated. I heard a lot of things like that, and I would wonder how, where. So even though I always knew I wanted to study pharmacy, but going there and not graduating was never in my plan. So I knew that as long as that difficult one, bring it on, let's have it. And also because of my background, my parents, I mean, my dad was a high court judge. My mom was somebody that she believed she could pull down mountains. So, so growing up in that entrepreneurial environment and seeing things done, I never really thought um, about impossibilities. So, I mean, of course, there'll be challenges. There were times you would see that, oh, this thing is looking too difficult, but I think I had it interesting all along, growing up and growing to know that we should. So that confidence, I mean, I think I got my confidence early enough, and even knowing that. So, for example, when I wanted to do my MBA, it wasn't like I had everything was ready. I just heard somebody say in an interview, she was talking about her journey, how she did how did she did the her MBA, and I wanted to go to Harvard actually, and I listed the top three MBA schools, and I said I'll go to one of these, and I was trying to get into Harvard, but I was looking at the money, looking at it would never be a good time. When you want to achieve something, to never be a good time.
It's never
And I
perfect.
heard her say yes, a perfect time, thank you. And I heard her say something that she has never seen anyone that really wanted to go to a B school, a top business school, and said it was money that didn't make her go. I told myself, really,
Mm,
there's money that I've been talking about. And she said, just get the admission first. You'll be surprised that things will just move.
mm,
And really, I made the move, made the payments even before by the time the program was ending, and nothing happened. And I enjoyed it. It exposed me to a lot of things. It stretched my mind. And from all
mm,
these things, I just see that if we have that mentality that we can achieve things and we're confident. Also, of course, this confidence is not something we build in a day. And remember that
mm.
we have the Holy Spirit at work in us. So let's not underplay all that. So that's actually the backbone of most of the things. We can't achieve anything by ourselves. So that has been a very major factor for me. When I want to go somewhere, I know that yes, I'm going in the name of the Lord and I'm going to achieve it.
Wow, powerful. Oh, you glossed over something that I want to go back to, and that is um, pharmacy at the Obafemi Awolowo University. Now, my husband went through the same program. I know that it is tough, and I want to ask you, what are the top three things you do now? You do, maybe you did while in that program, and maybe you still do. When you face a difficult situation, now you said you determined right from the start, right from the get go, that you know what, I'm going to get it done. But what are your go to maybe strategies or things that help you out? Peradventure, there's somebody watching here who is going through a tough time, and a tough seasons look different for different people. It may be somebody who is juggling motherhood with career, with education at the same time. Um, so what do you do? Because I know that, I mean, just that pharmacy program at Ife is not, it's not a walk in the park. Was not a walk in the park. And yeah, let's just get into your head a bit and find out what are your strategies.
I think the major strategy I like to see, that part, like we begin with the end in mind, and we need to see the picture. I mean, you have to see what you want to achieve. What is the end goal? Because when you know what the end is, even at this stage in my life, I'm saying I'm doing this because this is what I want to achieve. And that picture, if it's beautiful, if it's what I want, I smile and I know that yes. So where's the process? Give it to me, bring it on. And I start the journey. The first thing is seeing, be able to visualize that thing you want to achieve. And of course, in addition to, part of the steps, this is what I need to do. I need to take this course. I need to go on this journey. Then we now have the speaking sessions. Like I speak it to being, like it has to, it has to be, like paste, even if I don't paste it, I say to myself, this is it. This is what I want to do. I know that some people have used the method of pasting things around in the house, so that as you're everywhere, you're seeing it. But I also believe in speaking, saying it, keep talking about it, and talk to yourself, have talking sessions. These are like confessions, and say, yeah, this is what I want to achieve. And when it gets to a point, like you mentioned, that there are times as you're going through this journey, this is what you planned, and sometimes things just don't go the way you want it to go. It looks like, I think this now, it's going to be something else, like it may fail here and all that. There's there's a strategy, or there's some few strategies, of course, in addition to praying and all. And okay, I'm not sure of this audience, but it's called, I mean, I call it the giving principle. When it gets to, when you face a wall, Pastor Chris will say, when you get to a wall and you just talk the wall, and you just ignore the wall and you just move through it. And there are some times that until you take something that remains so much to you, put it somewhere that this is it. And those things also strengthen your resolution that yes, I'm in this for. So those are some strategies that I've used personally, and they've worked for me. Some people may agree with it, they may not agree, but
Oh,
these have worked for me.
thank you for sharing. So you are saying, like, when you face something difficult, you give something that's precious to you, that makes you know makes means something to you.
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
thank you for sharing that, because sometimes we share the cute things, the things people are used to hearing, the things people want to hear, and then the real things, right? We all back because we're like, okay, let me just tell you what you feel like hearing. But thank you for sharing that, because that is so powerful. How let's talk a little bit about your educational journey, right? So you did your pharmacy degree at the Obafemi Awolowo University. I know you've done some Harvard, even though you didn't go to Harvard for your MBA. I know you've done some Harvard.
Yeah.
courses, short courses, and then you've done the your MBA at INSEAD. Would you walk us through that? Because I think that education is such a leverage, and sometimes we work harder than we need to just because we don't have the right exposure in terms of education, in terms of network, and what have you. Just share
Yes.
a bit about your
Yes. So
education.
thanks for raising that. For education is very important. Many people will say, let's just go through, experience matter means a lot. Experience matters. Yes, experience matters, but at times we also need to concrete, as in put a seal on what we've worked on so far and improve. When the axe is blunt, it takes more effort. So there are times you just need to sharpen that axe from time to time. So, but for me, it took me a while before I even said I wanted a second degree, because I used to tell people then the first degree I've earned, I've not really done much with it. I've not earned as much as I want to earn with it. So let it just keep working. So studying pharmacy, I wasn't sure of what the second degree would be, because I knew it would not be pharmacy, because I was already deviating from that line, and I had to. But in the phases, in the different job opportunities I've been opportune to work in, I started looking for courses to improve me in those areas. And of course, I did a project management, PMP, because I worked on a lot of projects. So I started with things like that to say, okay, what would even expose me to all these trainings and all. Then, when I moved to development, and one key thing that I would sell to people is, we see all these courses, they're expensive. We say we can't afford them, but you know that there are scholarship opportunities for most of these things. And the moment I tried one once, and the moment I saw that, hey, this thing worked, I started telling people and even encouraging the young people. So I've seen like two guys that I've encouraged, and they got masters abroad with full sponsorship. A lady and a guy, because you're from, especially those of us from Africa, right? So what I did was for different schools. So because I really wanted Harvard, and I wanted to go for a full-time course, I did a 1 month program. It was a 2 weeks program. I applied. It was not cheap, but I applied. I got the admission. Then, well, congratulations, you can come there. Then I sent another email to say, thank you. However, are there scholarship opportunities for this? I mean, are there organizations that are willing to sponsor? And I wrote a beautiful piece about myself and what I would achieve with the course. And of course, I said, sure, we have MasterCard Foundation, we have this, we have that. Send in the applications. And I got a full funding, including my ticket. I mean, they paid for my
That's
ticket.
good for people to know.
Yeah. And not even just my ticket to Boston and back to Lagos, because there was a part of it from Boston. I said I needed to get to Texas to see a couple of friends, and I wanted to pay that part of the journey, because I would route from Lagos to Boston to Texas back to Nigeria. I said, oh, no problem, never mind. And I was like, okay, you also paid for my vacation. So,
Amazing.
I've seen that happen. But if you don't approach these things, if you don't try them, you never know that they work. And from there, I've gone for another course at the was it the United Nations hub at Italy? I forgot the name. Yeah, at Italy. It was a very interesting course around microfinance at Boulder Institute at Turin. And for this particular one, they just didn't pay for flight tickets, accommodation, and all those things. They also gave me stipends for 2 weeks. So I realized that the more I engage in all these courses, the more I improved myself, the more I got. I mean, these organizations were interested in actually bringing me on board, and there were some you also need to share your knowledge, share your experience, because they want a very rich cohort. You want a kind of cohort whereby when you also have a lot of experience to share, you know. And of course, when I was ready for my MBA, I was also able to talk about some of the things I've done. And as usual, I asked for scholarship again, even though it was an executive MBA. I mean, but I still got some significant portion of scholarship, because that was a very big An expensive program, but I still got scholarship. So getting experiences in making applications, you need to be able to write, of course, developing your writing skills, making your applications, looking in the right places, no matter the kind of profession you're doing. I'm sure there's an opportunity within your space. Even if it's not fully funded, you can get some funding. And the more you expose yourself to these people, and I also need to mention the network that I've gained from all these places. And it's from some of those
Yeah.
networks that they tell me, oh, Fola, you'll be very good for this. Have you talked about this? Have you looked at this? And that is how you just keep increasing and improving your network and your learnings, even job opportunities in terms of consulting. People that have, some of the jobs that I've done, that have organizations I've consulted with. Even now, I do some things in healthcare, but maybe payment systems for healthcare which I left before. I see myself going back to network of pharmacy and telling them that this is what I need. I need contact in this hospital and that hospital for this project. And there are some that maybe some kind of big work, I'm not able to finish them. That people I've gone for from all these professional courses that I've done. I've met them from across the world. I remember there's a guy in Uganda that said he was doing this. I reached out to him, so let's partner, let's work on that together. So these short courses, in summary, the network you meet from there at times, you never can tell where it can lead you to, just in addition to the learning you get. And I've seen those things work out for me.
Now let's talk about networking. What do you lead with when you are networking personally? What about you do you put forward, you know, when you are networking? I know this will be different for different people, but for you personally.
For me, I think I like talking about what I do. I'm passionate about development, actually. So, I mean, there's many people, especially in Africa, at the bottom of the pyramid, and it's not only in Africa. How
Mm,
do we even focus on these guys, especially when it comes to poverty eradication or creating an enabling environment for different products that we're working on, when it comes to product development, product management, how we even engaging our users. So I think that is what I usually like to start with. And introduce myself, introduce my passion about product and the kind of product I would rather work with. Not necessarily corporate products, but B2B, the main, I'm sorry, B2C, the consumer
with my
mass
product.
retail product. So I see that when I start with that, I get a lot of discussions and interest, and I'm able to ease in, and that breaks the ice a lot of times because many people we're all individuals, we engage with product at similar level. We want to talk about our user experience on different things, and yes, so I like that part. That's what I like to start with, talking about my passion for retail development, product management.
So, what do you think has inspired that passion for development? Um, was it an experience? Was it something that again just evolved with you, or something from your childhood? What do you think has made you so passionate about it?
So, of course, I grew up in a place where we had a lot of people around, and my mom is an entrepreneur dealing with in retail market, and I've always believed in the beauty of numbers. So even when I was going to open a pharmacy, when I said I was going to open a pharmacy, I had in mind that my own strategy would not be just staying in VI and dealing with, maybe two or three customers, a few customers with high margin. I believe that I'll go to a place that had huge population, of a large population, leave
Mm,
smaller margins, but the numbers will come. So when I was in banking, of course, working on digital financial services products, which are core retail products, we
mm,
I thought that also opened my eyes to the beauty in numbers, to the beauty of people, especially those that we call micro retail
mm,
customers. those small money that you think, no, and there's usually a
That's up.
statement. Yeah, it's usually a statement that we say that banks at times say focus on the 80% of your customers that bring in, sorry, focus on the 20% of your customers that bring in 80% of the money. And I've seen the reverse happen at times. At times, if you focus on this 80% as well, there's a significant amount of money coming in. Apart from that, because I see that 80%, they're usually ignored, usually misrepresented. And because I was working on digital financial services products, I realized, it became, and working into the financial inclusion space brought in, look, because I've worked with departments that worked on research, like
Mm,
countrywide research. So traveling with them, going into those interlands, asking people questions. How would you want to be served? What financial service product are you using now? And they tell you, I dig this ground, I put money, I put under my,
mm,
and it just opens your mind to see that there are some of these people that are actually economically viable. And if we have the right product and services, they would, I mean, it will improve their lives. So for these people, how
mm,
do we improve their lives? How do we? Because for some women, and I focus a lot on women, for some women, maybe like $100 loan could be a big deal. It could send their children back to school. So how do
mm,
you develop this right product? So these are the chain of activities and thoughts that have now strengthened my interest in retail and
mm,
working in development, especially for the masses, those that typically organizations would not really look like as well. That's my market.
mm. Oh, that's beautiful. Identifying opportunities that others ignore. I think that is so powerful. Now I know that you're not just a professional. You're a mother. You're a wife, and I know juggling those things can often be
This-
often be difficult
I know, yes.
for us as women. So, well, yeah. So I'm going to ask a question that is very inevitable. How do you juggle it all? How do you make sure you are present? You are present for your profession. You are present as a for your family, and even for extended family too. Being Africans, extended family is always a big deal in our lives. So how do you show up in all these
Yeah,
different
so
spaces?
I'll start by saying I'm blessed to live I've lived a lot of years in Africa, in Nigeria. So there was a lot
There's a lot of help.
a lot of support. And what I do, so when I need to travel, there's always somebody there. And even when I come home, I can be home because I have somebody to do the cooking, which I would have made instruction, do this, do that. So when I'm present, I'm actually present. And of course, we also take time, time to say, let's go here, let's go swim, let's,
Mm,
so we take time to go, even if it's just to go to the park and sit down and just to watch them play, watch the children play. And also getting home and knowing that yes, this is home. Trying to, it's difficult at times because when you're home, you're still carrying laptop, but it's just putting up a discipline for a certain time
mm,
of the day whereby you're actually there. And I also used to try a method of making sure I take the children to school in the mornings. Of course, I enroll for school bus, but in the mornings, that's our time to just have our chit chats. Everybody, we get to school. What are you doing today? And then you laugh about it. Then also because of course, I work remotely, so that's also a blessing. So they come, I do my work when they are not around. When they're back, we have
mm,
time to now review our homework. From homework, you talk about other things. Then for the parents,
mm,
as we have agent parents, you need to be there as well. And they have been there and they're still there for us, because they juggle for children. So you just find days that you need to travel. At times, I don't even know how I do some of these things because I also run a business. And At times I just try to check, okay, what's happening in that place. The balance at times is balanced, at times it's like this, it's like that. It's not
Yes.
fully balanced all the time. So when people say, okay, work-life balance, for me, I don't know if
I don't
there's actually a balance. Maybe
I
for
don't know
others,
if it's ever existed
balance.
for me. You know, I like to say that I heard this many years ago, and I think it struck me. It stayed with me. That balance many times is like someone who is sailing the seas, in a sailboat, and sometimes the seas are so rough, the waters are so rough that it seems like they're tilting to one side, trying to keep that boat from capsizing. And then at other times they're tilting to the other side. And if you are looking at them, you are going to say they are not balanced. But that's what they need to do to keep that boat from capsizing. Why? Because they just have to just go with the waves, go with what's going on. And then when they have the luxury of calm seas, calm waters, then they look calm and they look like, it's like, so, um, that really helped me because like I was always trying to look for that perfect time, that perfect balance, and it just always seemed to elude me. So I think it's more practical to think of balance in terms of what we need to do to just keep that boat from capsizing, keep it on the waters, keep us safe, keep us going. It may not be a perfect situation, but we keep going. I don't know
I'd
if
like
that
to prioritize.
makes any sense.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
From time to time, you just look at, oh, this one is lacking. I think I should put more effort here. And this one, I've had enough here. So just put things in places.
You're speaking my language. You're speaking my language. So now, you've already done a lot, you've already achieved a lot, and you're a high power woman, you're a driven woman. So, is this it, or do you have any, if you care to reveal that is, do you have any big things you see in the future and that you'd like to share? I mean, just feel comfortable, share what you're comfortable with sharing.
I don't think I've done anything, in my opinion. It doesn't look like I've scratched the
Why am
surface
I not surprised? Why
of
am
the
I
kind
not
of
surprised
dreams.
at that answer?
Yeah, I feel like the kind of dreams I have, there are times I've just leave it because it says, no, 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 no. I can't just remain like this. So I feel like I've not started. I would definitely, I've run businesses all these years, even with my career, and I've seen myself grown. I've seen my portfolio, even in the businesses, grow, right? However, I would like to make it bigger. I'd like to have my own line where these are my own designs.
Mm,
Then I'm still very much interested in some other businesses, especially, in addition to for career wise, I would like, there's a phase or there's a level that I'd like to get to that I think I'm not close to it yet. And of course, how do I keep going is trying to see the beauty or the little that I think I've achieved, and thank God for it. And now look at what actually where I want to be. So even career wise, I tell myself, this is where I wanted to be at this time, but I'm not there yet. Thank God for where I am. And I know, and so that's on the career side. There's a certain level or there's a place I'd like to be. There's a level I'd like to grow to in my
mm.
career. And
Let
then
me
this,
ask you this question. You've talked about Africa. Sorry to break it. What kind of impact would you like to make in Africa?
I would like to work a lot for Africa. I'd like to
Mm,
work a lot around the policy area,
mm,
helping development partners and helping the central bank or maybe the regulators, especially. There are times there's a lot of innovation happening. That's why I like the digital
mm,
payment, digital innovation space. And many times it is the organizations, it is the providers that are bringing this new innovation. And then the regulator will now wake up and say, what's this thing in the market? What are they working?
mm.
No, 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 no. We don't allow that. Cut it, cut it, cut it. Whereas
Yeah.
this thing would have been a game changer. So how do we even,
Mm,
so I'm usually passionate about that impact. I'd like to have an impact on the regulators in that space to say, okay, let's have a collaborative approach. Let's look at this. Let's, because for you to regulate, you need to actually be in it. So, like teaching and training and impacting knowledge to say, this is how it has been done in this country and it worked perfectly. Can we try it here? Or, and I've done some work on that, of course, in the different organizations I've worked with. And one of them is Sandbox. Sandbox has been an interesting one to me. Like, let's test in a separate place. Let's simulate the live environment, and let's look as if there are customers we're trying with without necessarily touching customers' funds. Those kind of things. So how do we get to that place? Then the second one for me is, how do I actually develop a product that is impactful? Whether it's a social enterprise, whether it's a for-profit, how do I develop a product that can actually lessen the tension, the pressure, or the problems of the poor, of the mass market, of retail, while still making money? Because I know that, like I said, it's a game of numbers, and I enjoy those kind of markets. I know, but what product is actually impactful to them? So that's why even in my role for SIGAP World Bank at times, it's looking at these opportunity areas, working closely to develop the product together, rolling out together, and supporting, augmenting, providing knowledge materials to say this is how we can do it better. And also where I work now trying to see how things can get better, in my own little way and in my own little corner.
Mm, powerful, beautiful. Wow, we're here cheering you on. Thank you
Thank you.
for your passion, and thank you for your commitment to such a such an admirable goal. And I think that you've really, sometimes I say that, especially when people from maybe from the Western world who are of African origin go back to Africa, go back to Nigeria, for example. I feel we're so quick to point out what's not working. Oh, the roads are bad. There's no electricity, blah blah blah, and miss opportunities, right? Opportunities for contribution, but also opportunities to learn, so that you know where your contributions can make sense. You know, and I'm so excited to hear
Yeah.
the different things you're saying. Along those lines. Um, Now, if you were to talk to a younger version of yourself, right, and you were to maybe give them advice or encouragement, maybe we go back to the version of Fola that graduated from IFE, pharmacy school. What are maybe the top three things you would tell her? Either in terms of encouragement, or maybe some things you would tell her to do sooner, quicker, or maybe some things you'd tell her to avoid. Give us three of those things.
Yeah, I think the first one would be to try more. I mean, remove fear of the unknown. That's the first thing I'll say. And if there are things you want to do it faster, do it quicker. Don't take so long to decide. Okay, will this move be good? Will they not be good? What will happen? Don't overthink things. I mean, it's life itself is faith that we slept, right, and we're waking up. I mean, we slept in faith that okay, tomorrow morning I'll see you. That's faith enough. So I'll tell myself to leap, to take more chances.
Mm,
And lastly, maybe one for my own personal one, maybe for the additional exposure. I'd have had opportunities for some international exposure, or opportunities or jobs that just like, please, not for me for now. I think I would, if I would advise a younger Folashade, I would say take them on, bring them on, try them, work on them. I mean, if you don't like them, you can always go back. But that fear that no, it will not work, or how will I do it? Yeah, no, it would always work out. It would always work out. So that's what I've realized over the years, and I've told myself,
just keep moving. keep moving forward, the doors will open. Yeah.
Yes, and if you see the open doors, doors of opportunities, it's not, there are times when many times you see some doors and we think they are traps. It's not all of them that are traps.
Mm,
Trust your instinct, of course. You have the Holy Spirit that guides you, but open. At times it's when you open your heart that these things drop in it. And
mm.
Yoruba adage will say is the baby that opens or stretches forth
That
to our
mother
arms,
will carry.
mother will carry a hair. So if you don't have it in mind, because we had said is the one at work in us, both to will and to do. So the will come first. If you did not will it, you did not wish it, you just want to be a mediocre, you'll be there. And there's really no help
Mm,
coming from anywhere, but make your ambition big. And when those opportunities come knocking, grab them, embrace them,
mm,
explore more opportunities.
mm.
So those are my major speech to my younger self.
Very, very powerful, very apt. Now, let me ask this question and then we'll round up. So, what then do you do to course correct? So, let's say, okay, it's not every decision we make that's going to be right, right? We're going to make some decisions, maybe fall flat on our faces sometimes, you know. How do we course correct? And in doing so, how do we avoid getting trapped in a place where we don't want to try again because we feel so disappointed by the last wrong decision we may have made?
I think we should not stay there for so long because it's not all
Mm,
decisions that you would make and you will see that this is a fantastic idea, and you would also see that this is not it. But we shouldn't wallow in it for so long. Of course, there are some major decisions that for you to change it it has too much ripple effects. The stress is even too much to change it.
mm,
Those ones,
mm,
we look at it, we analyze it and say, how do we make life, how do I live my best life, even in the midst of this?
okay.
There are
Mm,
some decisions like that. We won't go into that. But there are some decisions, don't go too far. And maybe it will work better one day. Maybe it will do this. Just like you studied pharmacy, you got one opportunity and say, you spent 8 years in school. Now I want to waste those 8 years and go this one. But I mean, what you're doing, you're not enjoying it. So just quickly move, pivot. You need to be, even in life,
mm, mm.
when we're talking about agile, all those things, for our own lives, we have to, it's not just for
We have to be
product.
agile,
It's not just for products. One is not.
we have to
We
be
have to,
nimble on our feet.
yes. If it's not working, you quickly pivot, especially for the ones that you can do. And I do that a lot, even for jobs. Some people stay in some jobs that they just don't like it. They don't like to see
Mm,
anyone. Why do you want
yeah.
to keep staying there? Who told you would not get another one? Have you really tried? Don't you think is that job that's even sucked up your attention? I mean, not like you should now leave as the breadwinner and not get hungry, but there's a way we can do it. And so, what I really say is make your decision. If it's not working, change. I mean, we're not trees. We can move. We'll change it prayerfully with all our best intent, and we'll give it our best shot. And we know that we did everything we need to do. And yes, with God on our side, we can achieve all things. So work.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you very much for your time on Career Journeys today. I'd like to give a few moments to say some parting words, some last words, and specifically speak to maybe somebody who is feeling stuck right now, who feels like, oh, I don't have the qualifications, I've wasted years, I've wasted time, maybe I've wasted time on a dead end job, and they just feel like they can't make any moves. That either I don't have the money to make moves, I don't have the opportunities to move into. As we round up today, I'd like you to please just encourage such a person and speak some words to inspire them.
That's one of the most difficult phases to be in. I've been there. I was in a job for about 5 years. It was a miserable one, but for me, I don't stay that long. In fact, that was the longest I've stayed in a job. on a job. But for this particular one, I could hear God tell me clearly that you would be there. Like, don't leave. Every time I wanted to leave, I knew that to leave. So if you are in that space, the waiting space, God would have answered your prayers. It's not like God has forgotten. He has answered the prayers, but we also act on instructions. So I would say it's while we are waiting to where at what phase you are now. It's a waiting phase. It's a period where you just need to thank God more and try and listen more to what the next phase will be, and hold on. Just
Wow, thank you so much, Folasade, for such an insightful and inspiring time. I have learned a lot, and I'm sure that our audience has as well. And you know what? Keep blazing that trail. People are watching, people are getting inspired and getting motivated and learning not to settle for just ordinary living, because we can make a lot out of our careers if we embrace all that God has in store for us. And your life is proving it. Thank you once again for being with me here on Career
yes, thank you,
Journey.
Pastor May. Good to be with you again, though virtually. Thank you.